The white dress disappeared around the corner of the chapel just as Kara Prescott looked up from adjusting her camera settings, and she blinked twice before her brain caught up with what her eyes had just witnessed. A bride, full veil trailing behind her like a banner of surrender, was sprinting across the manicured lawn of the riverside estate in heels that should have made running impossible. Behind her, chaos erupted from the chapel doors as guests spilled out, their shocked voices carrying across the afternoon air. Kara lowered her camera, her assignment to photograph the estate's spring garden suddenly forgotten. She stood near the rose arbor, partially hidden by a cluster of cherry blossom trees, and watched the scene unfold with the detached fascination of someone watching a movie. The bride had vanished into the parking lot, and now a man in an expensive suit was shouting something about finding her. Wedding guests clustered together, their pastel dresses and dark suits forming a confused mass on the chapel steps. Did she actually just run? Kara muttered to herself, checking her camera to see if she had accidentally captured anything. Nothing. She had been focused on a particularly beautiful arrangement of peonies. A woman in a lavender dress was crying. An older man who looked like he might be the father of someone important was red-faced and gesturing wildly. And then another figure emerged from the chapel, moving with a deliberate calm that contrasted sharply with everyone else's panic. He was tall, dark-haired, and even from a distance, Kara could see the rigid set of his shoulders beneath his perfectly tailored tuxedo. Unlike the others, he did not run or shout. He simply stood at the top of the chapel steps, his hands at his sides, staring at the spot where the bride had disappeared. Something about his stillness made Kara's chest tighten with unexpected sympathy. That had to be the groom. She should leave. This was clearly a private disaster, and she was just here to photograph flowers for the estate's new website. But her feet would not move, and she found herself watching as the man in the tuxedo said something quiet to the suit-wearing shouter, then turned and walked back into the chapel alone. The crowd slowly dispersed, some heading to their cars, others clustering in groups to dissect what had just happened. Kara waited until the lawn was mostly clear before making her way back toward the main estate building. She needed to drop off her memory card with the estate manager and collect her payment for the afternoon's work. The estate manager, a brisk woman named Helen, was on the phone when Kara entered the office. Her face was pinched with stress, and she barely acknowledged Kara's presence beyond a harried wave toward a chair. Kara sat, trying not to eavesdrop but failing entirely. "Yes, I understand this is difficult, but we did have the venue reserved for the full day," Helen was saying. "The gardens, the reception hall, everything." A pause. "I see. Yes, of course, I will have someone take care of it." When Helen hung up, she pressed her fingers to her temples. "What a disaster." "I saw some of it," Kara said carefully. "The bride running, I mean." Helen's laugh was brittle. The Thornton wedding, or what was supposed to be the Thornton wedding. Apparently, the bride decided at the last possible moment that marrying Sebastian Thornton was not what she wanted after all. Sebastian Thornton. The name tickled something in Kara's memory, but she could not quite place it. "That's awful," Kara said, meaning it. No matter what had led to that moment, it had to be devastating for everyone involved. "Sebastian is handling it with more grace than I would," Helen said, opening her desk drawer and pulling out an envelope. "He is already making arrangements to compensate all the vendors, even though none of this is his fault." She handed Kara the envelope containing her payment. "Your garden photos came out beautifully last time. We appreciate your work." Kara accepted the envelope and stood. "Thank you. I hope everything gets sorted out." As she walked to her car, she could not help glancing back at the chapel. The door was closed, and she wondered if Sebastian Thornton was still inside, sitting alone in a room that should have been full of celebration. 3 weeks later, Kara was elbow-deep in developing solution in her darkroom when her phone buzzed. She ignored it, focusing on the print emerging in the tray before her. The image was from a series she had been working on, capturing the old industrial buildings downtown before they were demolished for new development. There was something haunting about the way light fell through broken windows, illuminating decades of abandonment. When she finally emerged from the darkroom, squinting against the brightness of her small apartment, she checked her phone. A text from her friend Maya. "Emergency coffee needed. Meet me at Brood Awakening in 20. Kara glanced at the clock. It was already past 3, and she had promised herself she would work on her portfolio tonight. But Maya only called coffee emergencies when something was genuinely wrong, so she grabbed her jacket and headed out. Brood Awakening was a small coffee shop wedged between a bookstore and a vintage clothing boutique in the arts district. It had exposed brick walls covered in local artwork, mismatched furniture, and the best espresso in the city. Maya was already there, hunched over a laptop at their usual corner table. "What's wrong?" Kara asked, sliding into the chair across from her. Maya looked up, her dark curls escaping from a haphazard bun. "My exhibition space fell through. The gallery owner just called and said they are double booked for my dates and I am bumped." "What? But you have been planning this for months." "I know." Maya's voice was tight with frustration. She was a sculptor, and this was supposed to be her first major solo exhibition. "I have nowhere to show my work now, and I have already sent out all the invitations. The opening is supposed to be in 6 weeks. Kara's mind raced through possibilities. What about the community center? Or that warehouse space on 5th, both already booked? "I have called everyone I can think of." Maya slumped back in her chair. "I am going to have to cancel." "Do not cancel yet," Kara said firmly. "Let me ask around. I know some people from my photography projects. Someone might know of a space." Maya managed a weak smile. "Thanks. I knew you would help me strategize instead of just sympathizing." They spent the next hour brainstorming, Kara taking notes on her phone while Maya grew progressively more animated. By the time they parted ways, Maya looked marginally more hopeful, and Kara had a list of contacts to reach out to. The next morning, Kara was at the downtown farmer's market, buying vegetables and fresh bread, when she saw him. Sebastian Thornton was standing at the honey vendor's stall, examining a jar of lavender honey with the same serious expression she remembered from the chapel steps. He wore jeans and a dark blue Henley, casual clothes that somehow still looked expensive, and his dark hair was slightly disheveled as if he had been running his hands through it. She almost did not approach him. What would she even say? But as she watched, he purchased 3 jars of honey and turned to leave, and she found herself moving before she could overthink it. "Excuse me," she called out. He stopped, turning to look at her with cautious eyes. Up close, she could see they were a striking gray-green, and there were faint shadows beneath them that suggested he had not been sleeping well. Yes, now that she had his attention, Kara felt foolish. "I am sorry to bother you. We have not met, but I was at the Riverside estate a few weeks ago doing photography work. I saw what happened at your wedding." His expression shuddered immediately. "I see." "I just wanted to say I am sorry," Kara continued quickly. "That must have been incredibly difficult." Sebastian studied her for a long moment, and she could not read what he was thinking. Then his shoulders relaxed slightly. "Thank you. That is kind of you to say." An awkward silence stretched between them. Kara was about to excuse herself when Sebastian spoke again. "Were you taking pictures of the wedding?" "No, nothing like that. I was hired to photograph the gardens for the estate's website. I was by the Rose Arbor when it happened." The gardens there are beautiful, Sebastian said, a hint of something softer entering his voice. My mother always loved roses. They really are beautiful. I have been doing botanical photography for a few years now. Kara shifted her canvas market bag to her other shoulder. Anyway, I did not mean to interrupt your morning. I just thought if I were in your position, I would want to know that strangers were not just gossiping about it. Some of us actually felt for you. The corner of Sebastian's mouth lifted in what was not quite a smile. Most people have been gossiping, actually, but I appreciate the sentiment. He paused. I am Sebastian Thornton, Kara Prescott. She shifted her bag again awkwardly, then extended her hand. His handshake was firm and warm. It is nice to meet you, Kara Prescott. He glanced down at the jars of honey in his other hand. Can I buy you a coffee as a thank you for your kindness? There is a good cart just over there. Kara hesitated, then decided why not. Sure, that would be nice. They walked together to the coffee cart, where Sebastian ordered them both lattes without asking what she wanted, then raised an eyebrow at her. Is a latte all right? I should have asked first. It is perfect, Kara assured him. They found an empty bench near the market's entrance and sat, watching people stream past with their market bags and strollers. For a few minutes, they drank their coffee in comfortable silence. So you are a photographer, Sebastian said eventually. Is that your full-time work? It is now. I spent 3 years doing it as a side job while working retail, but I finally took the leap 6 months ago. Kara wrapped both hands around her paper cup. It is terrifying and wonderful at the same time. What kind of photography? Mostly nature and architecture. I love finding beauty in unexpected places, like old buildings or wild gardens. I also do some commercial work to pay the bills, like the estate job. Sebastian nodded thoughtfully. That takes courage, pursuing something creative full-time. What do you do? Kara asked, then immediately felt stupid. Helen had acted like his name should mean something, and he had clearly had an expensive wedding planned. I run a manufacturing company, Sebastian said. My grandfather started it making farm equipment, and we have expanded over the years. It is not particularly glamorous, but it is steady work. There was something charming about the way he downplayed it, and Kara found herself smiling. Steady sounds good. Photography is definitely not steady, but you love it. It was not a question, but Kara answered anyway. I really do. They talked for another 20 minutes, an easy conversation that ranged from the merits of various market vendors to their favorite spots in the city. Sebastian was surprisingly easy to talk to, with a dry sense of humor that caught Kara off guard in the best way. He did not mention the wedding again, and neither did she. When Kara finally glanced at her phone and realized she needed to get home to meet a client call, she stood reluctantly. I should go, but this was really nice. Sebastian stood as well. It was. Thank you again for what you said earlier. It meant more than you might think. As Kara walked to her car, she found herself smiling. There had been something genuinely good about Sebastian Thornton, something solid and real beneath the obvious wealth and the recent heartbreak. She hoped he would be okay. She did not expect to see him again, so she was startled when, 3 days later, she received an email through her photography website's contact form. The subject line read, Potential Project Inquiry. The email was professional but warm. Miss Prescott, it was a pleasure meeting you at the farmer's market. I have been thinking about your work and wondered if you might be interested in a project. My company is redesigning our headquarters lobby, and we are looking for large-scale photography pieces to display. I would love to see your portfolio and discuss possibilities if you are interested. Best regards, Sebastian Thornton. Kara read the email 3 times, trying to determine if this was genuinely professional or something else. The tone seemed sincere, and she desperately needed more commercial work. She decided to take it at face value and responded with a link to her online portfolio and her availability for a meeting. They arranged to meet at his office the following Tuesday. Thornton Manufacturing was housed in a sprawling complex on the industrial edge of the city, a series of modern buildings mixed with older brick structures that had clearly been renovated. The lobby where Kara was directed to wait was spacious but impersonal, with bland corporate art on the walls and uncomfortable-looking modern furniture. Sebastian appeared within minutes of her arrival, wearing a charcoal suit that made him look every inch the successful businessman. His smile was genuine when he saw her, though, and Kara relaxed slightly. "Thank you for coming," he said, shaking her hand. "Let me show you the space we are working with." He led her through the building, pointing out various areas as they walked. The headquarters employed over 200 people, he explained, and they wanted the new lobby design to feel welcoming while also reflecting the company's values of craftsmanship and innovation. "These are the walls we are thinking about," Sebastian said, gesturing to two large expanses of white space flanking the main entrance. "We want something that will make an impact but also feel meaningful. When I saw your portfolio, especially your architectural series, I thought you might be perfect for this." Kara studied the walls, her mind already racing with possibilities. "What kind of feeling are you going for? What do you want people to experience when they walk in?" "Something that honors where we came from while looking forward," Sebastian said. "My grandfather started this company in a barn with nothing but determination and skill. I want people to remember that kind of authenticity." They discussed ideas for another 30 minutes, and Kara found herself getting excited about the project. This was exactly the kind of work she had dreamed of when she went full-time with her photography. By the time Sebastian walked her back to the lobby, they had outlined a basic concept that would incorporate images of old machinery, hands at work, and architectural details from both vintage and modern industrial spaces. "I will draw up a formal proposal and send it to you by the end of the week," Kara said. "I look forward to it." Sebastian paused, looking like he wanted to say something else. "I hope this does not come across as inappropriate, but would you like to get dinner sometime? Not business-related, just as a thank you for your kindness at the market." Kara's heart did an unexpected flip. She should probably say no. He was a potential client, and he was clearly still dealing with the aftermath of a broken engagement. But there was something in his expression, a hopeful vulnerability that made her answer honestly. "I would like that," she said. His smile transformed his whole face, and Kara realized that Sebastian Thornton was actually quite handsome when he was not weighed down by stress and sadness. They made plans for Friday night, and as Kara drove home, she felt a flutter of anticipation mixed with nervousness. This was probably a bad idea, but it also felt right in a way she could not quite explain. Friday arrived with unseasonably warm weather, and Kara changed outfits 3 times before settling on a simple navy dress and leather jacket. Sebastian had suggested a restaurant she had never been to, an Italian place in the historic district that was supposed to have the best homemade pasta in the city. He was waiting outside when she arrived, and his face lit up when he saw her. He had traded the suits she had seen him in for dark jeans and a gray button-down, and he looked more relaxed than she had ever seen him. "You look beautiful," he said simply. "Thank you. You clean up pretty well yourself. Dinner was wonderful." The restaurant was small and intimate, with warm lighting and the kind of comfortable atmosphere that encouraged long conversations. They talked about everything: their childhoods, their families, their dreams and fears, and the paths that had led them to this moment. Sebastian told her about growing up with the weight of family expectations, about his grandfather's legacy and his own desire to modernize the company while honoring its roots. Kara shared her struggle to be taken seriously as an artist, the doubt that sometimes crept in during lean months, and the pure joy she felt when she captured the perfect image. "My ex-fiancé used to say I was married to my work," Sebastian said at one point, swirling wine in his glass. She was not entirely wrong. "Is that why she ran?" Kara asked gently. Sebastian was quiet for a moment. "Partially. Mostly, I think we both realized too late that we were trying to fit into roles we thought we should want rather than being honest about what we actually needed." He met Kara's eyes. "She is not a bad person, neither am I. We just were not right for each other." "That is a very mature way to look at it. It took me a few weeks to get there," Sebastian admitted with a rueful smile. "The first week I mostly felt humiliated and angry. But underneath that, I was relieved. That is how I knew we had made the right choice, even if the execution was dramatic." As the evening progressed, Kara found herself drawn to Sebastian in ways that surprised her. He was thoughtful and intelligent, with a quiet strength that manifested in how he listened, really listened, to what she said. He asked questions that showed he cared about her answers, and he had a way of making her feel like she was the only person in the room. When he walked her to her car after dinner, the night air was cool and smelled of spring flowers. They stood in the parking lot, neither quite ready for the evening to end. "I had a really good time," Kara said. "So did I." Sebastian hesitated, then reached out to gently tuck a strand of hair behind her ear. The gesture was tender and sent warmth flooding through her. "Can I see you again?" "Yes," Kara said without hesitation. "I would really like that." He leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away if she wanted, and kissed her softly. It was a sweet kiss, full of promise and possibility, and when they broke apart, Kara was smiling. Over the next few weeks, Kara and Sebastian fell into an easy rhythm. They saw each other several times a week, sometimes for elaborate dates and sometimes just for coffee or a walk through the city. Kara learned that Sebastian was an early riser who liked to go running before work, that he had a ridiculous sweet tooth, despite his otherwise healthy eating habits, and that he was unfailingly kind to everyone he encountered, from CEOs to janitors. Sebastian learned that Kara sang off-key in the car without realizing it, that she was fiercely loyal to her friends, and that she had an encyclopedic knowledge of obscure art history facts that she would share at random moments. They also worked together on the lobby project, and Kara threw herself into it with passionate dedication. She spent days photographing old factories and workshops, capturing the texture of worn wood and aged metal, the play of light through dusty windows. Sebastian gave her access to his company's archives, where she found photographs of his grandfather and the original barn workshop that became Thornton Manufacturing. "This is incredible," Sebastian said, when she showed him the preliminary images. They were in his office, late on a Thursday evening, spreading prints across his conference table. "You have captured exactly what I was trying to articulate." Kara beamed at him. "Your grandfather had an amazing eye for detail. I could see it in the archive photos, the way he arranged his workspace, the care in every weld and joint." Sebastian picked up one of her photographs, an image of weathered hands adjusting a piece of machinery. "Where did you shoot this?" "That old machine shop on 10th Street, right before they closed it down. The owner let me spend an afternoon there. Those are his hands." Kara moved to stand beside Sebastian, looking at the image with him. "He has been doing this work for 47 years. You could see the love in every movement." Sebastian set the photo down and turned to her. "You are remarkably talented, Kara Prescott." The way he said it, with such sincerity and warmth, made Kara's breath catch. They had been dating for nearly a month, and every day she found herself falling harder for this man who combined strength with gentleness, ambition with integrity. "I have something I want to tell you," Sebastian said, his expression turning serious. "I probably should have mentioned it earlier, but the timing never seemed right." Kara's stomach flipped nervously. "Okay. You know I run my grandfather's company, but I have not been entirely forthcoming about the scale of it. Thornton Manufacturing is one of the largest industrial equipment manufacturers in the country. We have facilities in 12 states and export internationally." He watched her face carefully. "I am telling you this because I like you, really like you, and I do not want there to be any surprises or secrets between us." "How large are we talking?" Kara asked. "The company is valued at just over $800 million, Sebastian said quietly. "Which makes me, on paper at least, quite wealthy." Kara sat down in one of the conference room chairs, processing this information. She had known Sebastian was successful, but this was on a completely different scale than she had imagined. $800 million, she repeated. "I know it is a lot to take in. I understand if you need time to think about what this means." "What does it mean?" Kara looked up at him. "You are still the same person who bought me coffee at the farmer's market. Who listens when I talk about light ratios and composition theory, even though I know it is not that interesting to you. Who leaves terrible dad jokes on my voicemail." Sebastian's expression softened. "It means that my life comes with certain complications. Media attention sometimes, security concerns, people who want things from me. I will never let any of that touch you if I can help it, but you should know what you are getting into." Kara stood and walked over to him, taking his hands in hers. "I appreciate you telling me. But Sebastian, I am getting into a relationship with you, not your bank account. The money does not change who you are as a person." The relief on his face was palpable. He pulled her into a hug, and she wrapped her arms around him, feeling the solid warmth of him against her. "I was worried you might run," he murmured into her hair. "I am not much of a runner," Kara said, her voice muffled against his chest. "More of a stubborn stayer." He laughed and kissed the top of her head. "Good, because I am falling in love with you, Kara, and I would very much like you to stay." Kara pulled back just enough to look up at him, her heart soaring. "I am falling in love with you too." Their kiss was deeper this time, full of emotion and promise. When they finally broke apart, both were smiling. The lobby installation was completed in early June, and the company held an official unveiling ceremony. Kara stood nervously beside Sebastian as employees and board members gathered to see the new artwork. She had poured her heart into this project, creating a series of large-scale images that told the story of American manufacturing through the lens of human craftsmanship and dedication. When the curtains were pulled back, there was a moment of silence, and then genuine applause. Kara's photographs dominated the space, transforming the sterile lobby into something warm and meaningful. The images worked together to create a narrative. The weathered hands of the old machinist, the soaring architecture of a renovated factory, close-ups of vintage equipment juxtaposed with modern manufacturing technology. And in the center, a stunning portrait of Sebastian's grandfather in his original workshop that Kara had painstakingly restored from an archival photograph. "This is extraordinary," the board chairman said, shaking Kara's hand. "You have captured the soul of this company." Sebastian squeezed her hand, pride evident in his expression. Later, after the ceremony ended and they were alone in the lobby, he pulled her close. "Thank you for this. For understanding what I wanted to achieve and making it even better than I imagined. Thank you for trusting me with it," Kara replied. That night, they went back to Sebastian's house for the first time. He lived in a modern but warm home on the outskirts of the city, with large windows overlooking a wooded ravine. The inside was tastefully furnished, a mix of contemporary design and comfortable pieces that actually looked lived in. This is beautiful, Kara said, walking through the open-plan living space. I was half expecting some kind of sterile mansion. Sebastian laughed. I leave the mansions to people who enjoy them. I wanted a home, not a showpiece. They cooked dinner together, an improvised pasta dish that was more collaboration than recipe, and ate on his back deck while watching the sun set through the trees. The evening was perfect in its simplicity, and when Sebastian suggested she stay over, Kara did not hesitate. They made love slowly, tenderly, discovering each other with reverence and joy. Afterward, lying tangled together in his bed, Kara felt a sense of rightness that she had never experienced before. This was where she was meant to be. I love you, Sebastian said softly, his fingers tracing patterns on her bare shoulder. I love you too, Kara whispered back. Summer unfolded in a haze of happiness. Kara's career was flourishing thanks to the exposure from the Thornton manufacturing project, and she found herself with more commissions than she could handle. Maya's exhibition crisis had been solved when Sebastian quietly arranged for her to use an event space owned by one of his business associates, a gesture he had downplayed as simply helping a friend of Kara's. The exhibition had been a massive success, and Maya had sold 3 major pieces. She had cornered Kara afterward, champagne in hand, and said, I like him. He is good people. Do not screw this up. I am trying not to, Kara had replied, laughing. In July, Sebastian asked Kara to accompany him to a business conference in Portland. It is going to be boring meetings during the day, he warned, but the evenings are ours, and I have never properly explored the city. Come with me. Kara agreed, and the trip turned into a wonderful blend of work and play. While Sebastian attended his meetings, Kara explored Portland with her camera, capturing the city's bridges and gardens and quirky neighborhoods. In the evenings, they tried new restaurants, walked through bookstores, and talked for hours about everything and nothing. On their last night in Portland, Sebastian took her to a tiny restaurant perched on a hillside with sweeping views of the city lights. Over dessert, he became unusually quiet, and Kara noticed he kept fidgeting with his napkin. Everything okay? She asked. Sebastian looked up, meeting her eyes. I have been thinking a lot about the future lately, about what I want and what makes me happy. He reached across the table to take her hand. You make me happy, Kara, happier than I have ever been. I know we have only been together for a few months, but I feel more certain about this than I have about anything in my life. Kara's heart was pounding. Sebastian, I am not proposing, he said quickly. I know it is too soon for that, and I want to do this right. But I needed you to know that I am serious about us, about building a life together. I want you to move in with me when you are ready. I want to wake up next to you every morning. I want to support your dreams and share mine with you. Tears pricked at Kara's eyes. I want all of that too. I have never felt this way about anyone, and sometimes it scares me how much I love you. It scares me too, Sebastian admitted, but it also feels like the most natural thing in the world. They sat holding hands across the table, the city lights twinkling below them, and made quiet promises about their future. By September, Kara had moved most of her things into Sebastian's house, which they both now called home. She converted one of the spare bedrooms into a darkroom and studio space, and Sebastian built her custom shelving for her camera equipment. They fell into domestic routines that felt comfortable and right. Morning coffee on the deck, evening walks through the ravine, weekend trips to the farmer's market where they had first really talked. Kara met Sebastian's family at a Labor Day gathering at his parents' estate. His mother, Margaret, was elegant and warm, immediately putting Kara at ease. His father, Robert, was gruff but kind, and clearly proud of his son. Sebastian had two younger sisters, Sarah and Sophie, who interrogated Kara mercilessly before declaring her acceptable. "We were worried after Vanessa," Sarah confided over dessert. "She was never right for him. You actually make him smile." "Vanessa is the ex-fiancée?" Kara asked. "The runaway bride herself," Sophie confirmed. "No offense to her, she is actually doing well now. She is engaged to a guy she met traveling in Europe, someone totally different from Sebastian. It just proved they were both trying to fit into the wrong-shaped boxes." Sebastian appeared at Kara's elbow, wrapping an arm around her waist. "Are my sisters telling you embarrassing stories?" "Not yet," Kara said, grinning, "but I am hopeful." His family was wonderful, and Kara felt genuinely welcomed into their circle. Later, as they drove home, Sebastian reached over to take her hand. "They love you, almost as much as I do." "I love them too. Your mom invited me to her book club." "That is a high honor," Sebastian said seriously. "She only invites people she wants to keep around." October brought a commissioned piece that excited Kara beyond measure, a photography book documenting the changing face of American industry. A major publisher had approached her based on the Thornton manufacturing installation, and she had spent weeks working on the proposal. When they accepted it, she had called Sebastian immediately, unable to contain her joy. "This is what I have always dreamed of," she told him that night, curled up on the couch together. "A book with my name on it, my vision, my art." "Then we are celebrating properly," Sebastian declared. He took her to her favorite restaurant and ordered champagne, toasting her success with genuine pride and happiness. The project would take at least a year to complete, with travel required to various locations across the country. Sebastian immediately offered to rearrange his schedule to travel with her when possible, and to support her in whatever way she needed. "You do not have to do that," Kara protested. "I know I do not have to, I want to." Sebastian cupped her face gently. "Your dreams are important, Kara. I want to be part of making them come true." As autumn deepened into winter, their relationship continued to deepen as well. They had their first real fight in November. A ridiculous argument about Thanksgiving plans that was really about Kara's fear of losing her independence, and Sebastian's worry that he was being too controlling. They worked through it by actually talking, really listening to each other's concerns, and finding a compromise that honored both their needs. "I never want you to feel like you have to give up who you are to be with me," Sebastian said as they made up. "Your independence, your career, your dreams, they are part of what I love about you. And I never want you to feel like I am not committed to this relationship just because I need space sometimes," Kara replied. "I am all in, Sebastian. Sometimes I just need to remember how to balance everything." Christmas was magical. They spent Christmas Eve with Kara's family, her parents and younger brother welcoming Sebastian warmly despite being slightly intimidated by his wealth. Her mother cornered Kara in the kitchen and whispered, "He is wonderful, honey. He looks at you like you hung the moon." Christmas Day was with the Thornton family, a loud and loving affair with too much food and competitive board games that got surprisingly heated. Kara fit right in, holding her own in a cutthroat game of charades and earning Robert's eternal respect by beating him at chess. Late on Christmas night, back at their home, Sebastian gave Kara a small wrapped box. Inside was a vintage Leica camera, fully restored and in perfect working condition. "Sebastian, this is too much," Kara breathed, carefully lifting the camera from its box. It belonged to a famous photographer from the 1940s, Sebastian explained. I found it at an estate sale and had it authenticated and restored. I know you prefer your digital cameras for most work, but I thought you might enjoy having it for personal projects. Kara set the camera down carefully and threw her arms around him. I love it. I love you. Thank you. There is more, Sebastian said softly. He pulled another small box from his pocket, this one velvet and clearly containing jewelry. Kara's breath caught as he opened it to reveal a stunning ring, a sapphire surrounded by small diamonds in a vintage setting. This was my grandmother's ring, Sebastian said, his voice thick with emotion. She and my grandfather were married for 53 years, and theirs was the kind of love I have always wanted, the kind I have found with you. He took the ring from the box and held it up. Kara Prescott, I know I said I would wait, but I cannot imagine my life without you. You are my best friend, my partner, my love. Will you marry me? Tears were streaming down Kara's face as she nodded. Yes, yes, absolutely yes. Sebastian slipped the ring onto her finger and it fit perfectly. They kissed through happy tears, holding each other close as snow began to fall outside the windows. The next few months passed in a whirlwind of joy and planning. They decided on a simple wedding, nothing like the elaborate affair Sebastian had nearly had with Vanessa. They wanted something intimate and meaningful, focused on their commitment to each other rather than impressing anyone else. Kara continued working on her book project, traveling to document factories and workshops across the country. Sebastian joined her when he could, and they turned the trips into adventures, exploring new cities and making memories. Her photography was evolving, becoming more confident and powerful, and Sebastian was her biggest cheerleader. In March, they returned to the Riverside estate where Sebastian's first wedding attempt had imploded. Helen, the estate manager, had been surprised but pleased when they called to inquire about booking the venue. I think it is lovely, she said. A chance to create happy memories here. They walked the grounds together, hand in hand, and when they reached the chapel, Sebastian stopped. Are you sure about this place? It holds some complicated memories for me. Kara squeezed his hand. That is exactly why I want to get married here. We are taking a place that represents a mistake and transforming it into the beginning of our life together. We are writing a new story. Sebastian pulled her close and kissed her forehead. Have I mentioned lately that you are incredibly wise? Not in the last few hours, Kara teased. The wedding was planned for late May when the gardens would be at their most beautiful. They kept the guest list small, just close family and friends. Maya was Kara's maid of honor, and Sebastian's best friend from college, Daniel, was his best man. As the date approached, Kara found herself thinking about the moment she had first seen Sebastian, standing alone on those chapel steps while his world fell apart around him. She had felt sympathy for a stranger then, never imagining that the man in the tuxedo would become the center of her universe. What are you thinking about? Sebastian asked one evening as they reviewed seating charts. The day we met. Well, the day I first saw you. Kara looked up at him. I was hiding in the rose garden taking pictures, and I saw the bride run. I saw you standing there afterward, and I remember thinking you looked so alone. I never could have imagined that less than a year later, I would be marrying you. Sebastian set aside the seating chart and pulled her into his lap. Do you know what I was thinking that day, standing on those steps? What? I was thinking that I had been given an unexpected gift, the gift of not making a terrible mistake. I felt humiliated and hurt, but underneath it all, I felt free. He tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, his touch gentle. And then a few weeks later, I saw you at the farmer's market, and you were so kind for no reason except that you are a good person. I knew right then that I wanted to know you better. Was that why you emailed me about the lobby project? Sebastian grinned sheepishly. That was partly legitimate business interest and partly an excuse to see you again. I hoped you would not notice. I definitely noticed, Kara admitted. But I am glad you did it anyway. Their wedding day dawned clear and perfect, with sunny skies and a gentle breeze that carried the scent of roses. Kara got ready with her mother and Maya in one of the estate's bridal suites, her nerves giving way to excitement as she slipped into her dress. It was elegant and simple, with lace sleeves and a flowing skirt that made her feel like herself, just elevated. "You look absolutely beautiful," her mother said, tears in her eyes. Maya handed Kara her bouquet, a gorgeous arrangement of garden roses and peonies. "You ready for this?" "I have never been more ready for anything," Kara replied. The ceremony was held in the estate's garden rather than the chapel, surrounded by blooming flowers and beneath a simple wooden arbor that Sebastian and his father had built together. As Kara walked down the makeshift aisle on her father's arm, she saw Sebastian waiting for her, and the look on his face took her breath away. He was looking at her with such pure love and joy that she almost started crying before she even reached him. When her father placed her hand in Sebastian's, she felt the rightness of it down to her bones. This was exactly where she was meant to be. The ceremony was short and heartfelt. They had written their own vows, and when it was Sebastian's turn to speak, his voice was steady despite the emotion in his eyes. "Kara, you walked into my life at a moment when I was lost and did not even realize it. You showed me what real love looks like, the kind built on friendship and respect and genuine partnership. You make me want to be a better man every single day. I promise to support your dreams as fiercely as you support mine. I promise to listen, really listen when you speak. I promise to laugh with you, cry with you, and choose you every single day for the rest of my life. I love you completely, and I cannot wait to see what our future holds." By the time he finished, Kara was crying happy tears. She took a shaky breath and began her own vows. "Sebastian, when I first saw you, you were a stranger going through the worst day of your life. I never could have imagined that you would become my best friend, my love, my home. You have shown me what it means to be truly seen and valued. You celebrate my successes and support me through my doubts. You make me laugh, you challenge me to grow, and you love me with a generosity that takes my breath away. I promise to stand by your side through whatever life brings us. I promise to keep choosing us, to keep building this beautiful life we have started together. I love you with my whole heart, and I am so grateful that fate brought you to me." When the officiant pronounced them married and Sebastian kissed her, their guests erupted in applause. Kara could not stop smiling as they walked back down the aisle together, husband and wife. The reception was held in the estate's pavilion, decorated simply with strings of lights and more flowers. They danced, ate wonderful food, and celebrated with the people they loved most. During their first dance, Sebastian held Kara close and whispered, "I have never been this happy." "Neither have I," she whispered back. Later in the evening, when the party was in full swing, Kara found herself standing near the rose garden where she had been that day the previous spring. Maya appeared at her side, champagne glass in hand. "What are you thinking about?" Maya asked. "About how strange and wonderful life is," Kara said. "A year ago, I was a struggling photographer taking pictures of flowers for a few $100s. Now I am married to an incredible man, working on my dream project and happier than I ever imagined possible." "You deserve all of it," Maya said firmly. "You both do." Sebastian found them a few minutes later, wrapping his arms around Kara from behind. "There you are. People want to do the bouquet toss." "I do not think we planned a bouquet toss," Kara said, laughing. "My sisters are insisting. Apparently it is tradition." They gathered everyone together, and Kara threw her bouquet over her shoulder, not caring who caught it. She heard a cheer and turned to see Maya holding the flowers, looking surprised and pleased. As the night wound down and guests began to leave, Kara and Sebastian stood together watching the sun set over the estate grounds. Tomorrow they would leave for a honeymoon in Italy, 2 weeks of exploring and relaxing and simply being together. But right now, in this moment, everything was perfect. "Thank you for running to me," Kara said softly. Sebastian looked down at her, confused. "What do you mean?" "That day when your wedding fell apart, you could have run anywhere. You could have hidden from the world. But somehow you ended up at that farmer's market where I was, and you let me into your life. You ran to me, even though neither of us knew it at the time." Understanding dawned on Sebastian's face, followed by a tender smile. "I will keep running to you, Kara, every single day for the rest of our lives." He kissed her as the last light faded from the sky, and Kara knew with absolute certainty that this was just the beginning of their story. The years that followed were filled with love and growth, and the beautiful messiness of building a life together. Kara's photography book was published to critical acclaim, leading to more opportunities and exhibitions. Sebastian continued to grow the family business, while also starting a foundation focused on preserving manufacturing jobs and supporting technical education. They bought a second, smaller house in the mountains where they could escape on weekends. A cozy cabin that Kara filled with books and plants, while Sebastian installed a workshop where he could build furniture as a hobby. They traveled together whenever possible, combining business trips with adventures, always with Kara's cameras in tow. 2 years after their wedding, they welcomed their first child, a daughter they named Rose Margaret, after the flowers that had inadvertently brought them together, and Sebastian's beloved mother. Sebastian cried when he held her for the first time, and Kara captured the moment with her ever-present camera, an image of pure joy and love that she would treasure forever. Rose was followed 2 years later by a son, Oliver Robert, who had his father's gray-green eyes and his mother's creative spirit. Their home filled with laughter and toys, and the beautiful chaos of family life. Through it all, Kara and Sebastian remained partners in the truest sense. They supported each other's dreams, celebrated each other's victories, and weathered challenges together with the strength that came from genuine love and respect. They had date nights and family dinners, quiet mornings and busy evenings, ordinary moments that built an extraordinary life. On their 10th anniversary, they returned to the Riverside estate for a private dinner in the gardens. The estate had become a special place for them, a symbol of second chances and new beginnings. They walked hand in hand to the spot where they had been married, where the wooden arbor still stood. "Do you ever regret it?" Kara asked suddenly. "The path that led you here, the heartbreak?" Sebastian pulled her close, his arms secure around her. "Not for a single second. Every moment, good and bad, led me to you. That makes all of it worthwhile." "I love you, Sebastian Thornton," Kara said, the same words she had spoken for 10 years, but with even more depth and meaning than before. "I love you, Kara Thornton," he replied, kissing her softly. As they stood together in the fading light, surrounded by roses and the memories of a decade of love, Kara thought back to that spring day when she had watched a stranger's world fall apart. She had offered kindness to someone who needed it, never knowing that simple act would change both of their lives forever. Sometimes the best love stories begin with an ending, and sometimes the person running from one altar is actually running toward their true future. Sebastian had run from a mistake and, unknowingly, run straight to Kara. And she had been there, waiting without realizing it, ready to catch him and be caught in return. Their story was not perfect, There were hard days and disagreements, stresses and challenges like any real relationship. But it was theirs, built on a foundation of friendship and respect and genuine partnership. They had chosen each other every single day, and they would continue choosing each other for all the days to come. In the end, that was what mattered most. Not the dramatic beginning or the fairy tale moments, but the daily decision to love and be loved, to support and be supported, to build a life together one moment at a time. Kara had watched a millionaire run from an altar, not knowing that the runaway would run to her. But now, 10 years and a lifetime later, she knew that some people are worth running to, worth fighting for, worth building forever with. And Sebastian Thornton was definitely worth it all.